Wel, shwmae pawb and croeso a coginio ar y hyd. Hello everyone and welcome to the cook along. My name is Richard and well, shwmae pawb and croeso a coginio ar y hyd. Hello everyone and welcome to the at Happy Cymru cook along. My name is Richard and heddiw today we are going to be doing the third day of our Easter cook-alongs, and we're going to be making some wonderful little Easter egg style biscuits. Don't worry, there's no chocolate on there whatsoever. They're just in the shape of a little Easter egg and they're decorated in lovely fruits. And I promise you, I served these to some family and friends yesterday out in the garden and they thought they were cowing lush. So in a couple of moments we're going to get started, but as with all of the cook-alongs, now that I've done all of my computer bits, I just need to go and quickly wash my hands. So this is your 21-second and 15-millisecond warning. Go and grab yourself a little drink, go and grab yourself a pen and a sheet of paper if you want to write down the ingredients list, and I will be back in the room in 20 seconds and 53 milliseconds. Bear with me and I will be back. Hello there, if you just joined me, I'm just quickly washing my hands and I will be back in the room in less than 10 seconds. Just drying my hands off now, paper towel goes into there. Let me grab a little bit of antibacterial gel and that goes on my hands, and you can see that I am back in the room, just flicking my hands to make sure they're nice and air dry, and we can now start today's session. So as with all of the cook-alongs, I'm going to start off with the official part in a couple of moments, and then it will definitely go downhill from there. So my official part today is shwmae pawb and croeso a coginio ar y hyd. Hello everyone and welcome to the Happy Cymru cook along. My name is Richard and heddiw today we're doing the third day of our wonderful Easter style cook along, and we're going to be making these wonderful little Easter egg style biscuits. And if I click this button just there, you'll be able to see that the Easter egg biscuits have just come up on the side over there, and they are absolutely fantastic. I served these for a small group of friends that were very socially distanced in my garden yesterday, and they thought they were absolutely fantastic. So I know that you're going to enjoy them as well. So let me get rid of that one and I'll press the button once again, and I'm hoping on that side now that our ingredients list has come up on the screen. And if I grab my ingredients just here, this is what we're going to be needing, right? And this basically our biscuit sort of mixture is a rubbed in sort of method, and then we add a little bit of egg and then we allow them to cook off, allow them to cool, and then we're going to decorate them with lots of different fruits and things like that, and I promise you they are absolutely cowing lush. So let's get started. The first thing that you can see on the ingredients list is that we need some flour, right? And we're going to be using 200 grams of self-raising flour. Now if you haven't got self-raising flour, all you need is some plain flour with half a teaspoon of baking powder in there. We don't want too much of a rise, but you want a little bit of a rise on these biscuits. Now then, as I've mentioned many times before, there's lots and lots of ways that you can actually do your weighing and measuring. Ideally, we would all have a set of these little weighing scales at home, and I particularly like digital ones because they're slightly more accurate than the sort of balance scales, right? You just press the button and you carry on. But if you haven't got any sort of scales in the house, don't panic, because one sort of teaspoon, or dessert spoon rather, one heaped dessert spoon just like that, and I'm put it against my apron so you'll be able to see the sort of height that it's gone for a heaped one, is approximately 25 grams. So literally I'm just going to add 8 spoonfuls of this, because 8 25s is 200. Yes, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, and that works out at 200 grams of that, right? Then as it's a rubbing in mixture, we've then got 75 grams or 3 heaped dessert spoons of caster sugar and 75 grams of margarine or butter, whichever you prefer using. I tend to use margarine because you can use a polyunsaturated fat, and it's 3 heaped dessert spoons of that. So literally I'm just going to pour all of my sugar in, and then I've got my margarine or your butter, whichever you're going to use, just goes in like that, right? Now then, let me just grab myself a little fork, because we're going to do this rubbing in method, right? And there's a couple of ways in which you can rub in. I always like to put, if I'm doing it on the table, just put a damp cloth just underneath so it doesn't wobble, right? And with my fork, you've got 2 options. You can either just mash your margarine and carry on mashing until it resembles breadcrumbs, or you can use your hands, right? Now I like getting my hands dirty, so I'm just going to take that off just like that. And your first job when you're rubbing in by hand is just to cut the margarine up into small pieces, right? I'm trying to minimize my the amount of washing up that I got today, so I'm just using my fork handle just there. And for the older people watching, that's a joke, isn't it, right? But we won't go there. This is a fork handle, not 4 candles, right? So that goes on just like that, just until it's nice and small. Then you can start using your hands, right? Now then, the mistakes that I find when people start rubbing in, right, is that they get their hands and they're just rubbing in just like that, and they end up with margarine all over their hands and up their arms like that, right? So when you're rubbing in, all you want to use is the coolest part of your hands, which is your fingers, right? Try not to touch any of the mixture with the palms of your hands. So we want to keep the palms as clean as possible. And literally all that we're doing is we're squeezing the margarine and the flour between our fingertips, right? And then we're also adding a little bit of air. So that's my first rule. The other rule is that we do 5 rubs and then turn the bowl. And the reason we do that is that people tend to do the furthest part of the bowl away from them, and you forget about the nearest part of the bowl, right? You end up with breadcrumbs that side and flour this side. So we just turn the bowl around. So I'm just going to do a little bit of mini kneading to start with, just to make sure that it's all nice and small. Then we can start to do our rubbing in. Remember, we're not going to use the palms of our hands. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then I turn the bowl. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and troi the Poland. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and turn the bowl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and I turn the bowl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and I turn the bowl. I'm going to do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turn the bowl, and you can see that on my hands, just my fingertips are slightly messy and covered in flour, but my palms of my hands are perfectly clean. And you can see that I've started to make those wonderful little breadcrumbs, right? And these breadcrumbs, once you've learned how to do this, you can make a crumble, you can make scones, you can make these biscuits, you can make little fruit crumble flapjacks. Really, really easy and a fantastic skill to be learning, right? To check for lumps, you've got 2 options. You can either just search for them just like that, and you'll be there for about half an hour, right? Or if you shake the bowl just like that, all the lumps will come to the top, and then you can just do a little bit of mini rubbing in just like that, just until you have mixed everything up just as so, right? And at this stage, right, what I would tell you to do then is either wash your hands or rub everything off your hands, right? Because your hands are going to get dirty during today's session, and they're still clean anyway, right? Now then, the next thing is we have got our liquid, and I just want to grab myself, oops, the daisy, grab myself a little bit of milk as well, because we have got 1 egg just there, and if you remember, an egg in Welsh is oi, right? And 2 eggs is oi, okay? But we've got 1 oi and we've got some llaeth just there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to crack my egg to start with, then we're going to add 2 spoonfuls of milk, right? So all I'm going to do when I'm cracking my egg, as you know, I don't like to crack it on the side or on the table or anything like that. I like to do it in a nice, safe manner, which means that we're less likely to get all of the shell into the egg, right? Always into a separate container, so not straight into there. And all I'm going to do is hold it like a little sort of cradle. And all I'm going to do with my dirty fork again, okay, all I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 swoop, right, to crack it. So in, die, tree. Okay, so I cracked it. I can then get my fingers in just like that, and I can pull it out just as so, excuse me, and I've got my egg just there. I'm going to pop that over there. I'm quickly going to wash my hands, because it's really important to wash your hands after you've been handling or cracking an egg. So let me just dry my hands off on a paper towel, and I'm back in the room. So I keep on hitting that thing down there. I don't know what's going on with my saucepans down there. We'll have to sort that out after. The next thing that we've got is we just need to add 2 dessert spoons of our milk, just as so, and then using my little fork, I'm just going to whisk that up just like that, right? So technically we've now got, as I always like to have, I've now got my dry ingredients that have all been mixed up, and I've got my wet ingredients. The last thing is we're going to add a little bit of flavouring, and you could add, not compulsory, but I'm going to add some vanilla flavouring today. On the recipe card I suggested using some sort of orange zest or orange flavouring. Unfortunately I thought I had orange flavouring in my cupboard, but I've run out, so you're going to be using some vanilla. But orange will give these little biscuits a really sort of spring like flavour, and they go really well with the strawberries and the berries as well. So I've just given that a little mix, and the last thing I need is I'm just going to grab myself a little wooden spoon, and I'm going to make a well in the centre of my bowl, just like that. Right now then, when I'm doing this, okay, in actual fact I'm not going to use a wooden spoon. I'm changing my mind today. I'm going to use the handle of a metal spoon, or a table knife if you've got it. I'm going to add about 3/4 of my milky sort of mixture, right? So make sure you're using about 3/4, and remember the rule is you can always add more, but you can't take any out, right? Then using the handle of my spoon, because we're going to mix it round afterwards, or a table knife, whatever you've got to hand. This is the flat surface that I found. I'm just going to start to mix all of that together, and you can see that it's sucking up all of that egg sort of mixture, right? We're starting to get a little dough. It's starting to combine all together like that, but I need to add a little bit more. So again, I'm not going to add all of it. I'm just going to add about a teaspoon's worth. So that was 1/4 of the quarter that was left, right? And just give that mix around. If you make a really wet mixture, you'll struggle to roll it out, right? So you just want it just enough so it's all combined. You can see if I hold that up now, we're near enough there, right? But the only way that I'm going to get it all together is by using my hand. So with my hand, I'm not rubbing in this time, right? I'm using my hand as a little scoop. Scoop it all together just as so, right? If you're a younger person, you might need an adult to help you with this, and eventually you will get a ball of dough just like that, right? So you can see my little ball of dough just there, and now we're ready to start doing our rolling out, right? So I'm just going to clean over my table, and I can pop those bits to the side just there, and I'm quickly going to wash my hands once again. So if you might want to wash your hands at this stage, right? So let me just do that, and I'm not going to wipe my table over because this is where we're going to do our rolling out, right? So we're going to roll this out to about 1 centimetre in thickness, and you've got a couple of ways to do it. You can either do it by hand, by your hands, or you can do it with a rolling pin. I'm going to use a rolling pin. So all I'm going to do is pop that onto my floured little surface, and I'm just going to bring the edges in just like that, and then I can turn it over and you have a nice flat surface, right? A bit of flour on top, and then we're ready to roll. Now you could just press it down to a 1 centimetre or one thickness of a £1 coin, right? About half a centimetre, but I'm going to use a rolling pin. Now when you're using your rolling pins, what you don't want to do is go in every direction, right? Because if you go in every possible direction, right, first of all you'll end up with a dog-eared sort of shaped piece of dough, and secondly, if you do that throughout your lives, you're going to get a bad back, right? So think of the pop group, you only roll in one direction, right? Get that joke? Roll in one direction. So you roll, 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 and then you turn the dough. And by doing it this way, it means that it's not going to stick to the table either, right? So plenty of flour. It will be a little bit soft, right? But you want it to be a nice sort of dough. So rolling it round, and I'm near enough there now. You can see that I have got my 1 or half a centimetre thickness, just like that. And you're going to make approximately 8 to 10 little sort of oval shaped biscuits. So before I roll that out, what I have got is just a baking tray, and I got some grease-proof paper, right? I'm going to move that and pop that under there, and I'll move that and pop that on the side. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see that a little bit better. I'm hoping that my fan that I've got just over there doesn't blow it all away. So the next thing is I've got my little pastry cutter. If you haven't got a pastry cutter, you could use a cup going into it, however you want to do it, right? We're going to make these oval shapes, but we start with a round first of all. So I'm just going to cut just one out just like that, and 2, and I'm going to cut them round, just moving them round just as so, making sure they got plenty of flour underneath them so they don't stick to the table. So you can see I've already made chwech, I got saith just there, and anything that you've got left you can re-roll afterwards, right? I'm not going to re-roll those, I'm just going to do those bits just there, but you could turn that into your nice dough again, and you can re-roll it. Now then, to make this oval shape, make sure that you have put a little bit of flour onto your baking tray, and now we're ready to start turning these into our little sort of oval shape, right? My room's quite hot, so I've got to work quite quickly, and all I'm going to do is just with my fingers just turn it round, and you end up with that little oval shape just like that. And I'm going to grab myself in a moment a little, so just turn that into your little oval shape. That can go there. Make sure that it's on a nice floured surface. Turn it into that little oval shape just as so, little oval shape just as so, and that gives you that little bit of your sort of Easter egg sort of shape just as so. Then the next thing is I've just got this little pastry slice, and that's not working, is it? There we go. So that goes onto there, so I've got one. I've then got my next one just there, and you can shape them up, pop those onto your baking tray, and you want to leave a little bit of space. These won't rise or expand too much, but they will go a little bit, right? So you want about 2 centimeters in between each one. So that one goes on just like that. Once you get them on, you can sort of mold them on the tray as well. So pop those just onto there. Obviously I've got the other ones that I can use afterwards, so I'm going to pop that just onto that little plate, and I might pop that just into the fridge just for now, because otherwise it'll start melting, right? So once you've got those ones just there, all that we're going to do is you can remold them now that they're on the greaseproof paper, and that's the great thing about using this greaseproof paper. Pop those on just like that, and then those go into a preheated oven of 180 degrees centigrade. I'm just making sure that this is on 180. There we go. And they take between sort of 8 and 10 minutes to cook off. Don't go and leave the room, right? Because 1 minute they might be nicely light golden brown. The next minute, if you leave them too long, they will go a real dark sort of brown, right? And they will carry on browning when they come out of the oven. So I'm going to pop those just into there. But don't panic, you don't have to wait 8 minutes because I've got some that I prepared earlier. But just while I'm cleaning up, what you might want to do is you might want to just, if you've got any questions about these two or this one recipe that I'm doing today, I don't know where I got two recipes from, but if you have got any questions, then pop your information into the, or your question into the chat function. I'll stop whittering on in a moment, right? And we will try to answer your questions as best we possibly can. So I'm just going to clean my table area over, give my hands a little wash, and then I can show you what they look like and how we can decorate them. So I'm just going to press that, and I'm hoping, yeah, there we go, that the ingredients list has now disappeared, because what we want, I'm just going to pop this just over here into my little sink area, and then I can just quickly wipe this down just like that. And I'm a typical man, as you know, I can't do two things at once, right? That's why I've gone a little bit quiet. So all that I'm going to do is I'm going to pop those bits just behind me. I'm going to grab my fruit, going to grab my other toppings and pop that over there, and you'll be pleased to know that I am back in the room. So let me grab these bits just here, and as if by magic, okay, here are some that I prepared earlier, right? I've got them on a little one of my little trays, right? But you can see those, they're nice and lightly golden brown. They've kept that little oval shape, and I promise you they smell absolutely fantastic. And literally all that I did, I cooked these earlier, probably about an hour ago. I brought them out to the oven. They carried on browning for another 5 minutes, right? So that's why they're lovely golden brown. They're a little bit crispy at the moment. They will soften up, but I promise you, once you cover them and coat them in all this lovely fruit, they are absolutely delicious. I just allowed them to cool down directly on the paper. You could put them onto a little cooling wire if you wanted to. The last thing that I do need is, excuse me 1 second, is just a little, just making sure nothing falls over just there, a little bit of a chopping board, right? Because what we've got is we're going to decorate these now as a little sort of Easter egg. And if you saw my Easter pizzas that I did on Thursday afternoon, is similar to the traditional sort of, you remember when you're back in school and you're drawing sort of Easter eggs, you always put little lines of colour, right? So that's what we're doing with this lovely fruit just here, right? So what I've got, in order to stick the fruit on there, we need to have some sort of glue, right? So what I've got is I've got a little bit of cream cheese and a little bit of icing sugar. Right, couldn't remember what it was then. So I've got 200 grams of icing sugar, and I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of my, no, I've got 200 grams of cream cheese, and I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of icing sugar. I can't get my words out this afternoon, right? So let's pop those bits just there. Give that a really good mix, just like that, and you can see I've got a lovely creamy texture. I'm going to go one stage further, and it's not just going to be cream cheese, it's now going to be a vanilla cream cheese. If you've got any of that orange essence, put some of that orange flavouring or orange zest in, and I promise you this is absolutely blasus iawn, just like the flavour of melted vanilla ice cream, right? So I've got that just there. I've got my fruit. So here I have got some strawberries, I've got some blueberries, and I've got some raspberries, right? But what we're going to do is I'm going to pop those ones just there like that, and literally I'm just going to add a spoonful of each of those just onto there, and then I'm just literally just going to spread it very, very gently just over the top, right? Ideally, you would have this nice and cold straight from the fridge, and that means that it'll be nice and soft. That's getting to be a little bit soggy, right? Then all that we're going to do is I can then start to decorate my little toppings just like that. So I'm going to do these two, and then you can carry on. I'll make the rest sort of afterwards. So I've got those ones just there, and then I've got some strawberries just here, so I'm going to do a layer of little strawberries like that, and I'm going to pop that one just there, and that one just there, just as so, and then I'm going to finish it off with these little sort of raspberries just like that. And I promise you, these are absolutely delicious. And you can see I've got my little Easter egg sort of biscuits just there. So you can serve these then directly on our little sort of posh, it's not very posh, I bought it from the cheap shop, right? But we've got our little posh little thing just there. I think I paid about £2 for this little stand, right? Absolutely fantastic. So I'll do another two just to show you. So once again, all that you're going to do is pop a little bit of that on just as so, and then you're just going to spread that over. And I think this time I'm going to put my strawberries in the center. So you'll have a little bit more time. You want them as small as sort of possible, right? The smaller the better, because the more fruit that you can sort of fit on, right? So I've got some smaller bits just there, so I'm just going to pop those bits on just as so. I've then going to pop those bits on just like that. I can pop those ones just on just as so. And I do apologise, my two dogs are barking outside. I don't know what they're barking at. They were inside, but they've somehow found their way outside, so I apologise about that. And we have got those ones on just like that. And the final thing is I can hold those up just like that, and you can see that we have got our Easter egg biscuits, and I promise you those are absolutely blasses iawn, super tasty. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed today's cook along. Don't forget that all the recipe cards are available on the Facebook page as well as our website. I look forward to cooking with you again in the future. All that leaves for me to say is Pas Capis, happy Easter, enjoy the bank holiday weekend, and I will see you next week, where we're going to be doing some other lovely child-friendly recipes. So diolch yn fawr iawn, and coginio hapus.